beautiful morning to all our viewers at home. Welcome to today's edition of Newspaper Review on OSBC TV. My name is Tajuddin Amodu. Of course, you know how we do it on daily basis on the program, where we take you around the world, not only Nigeria, as we discuss happenings in Nigeria and across the world. We also touch the sport angle, politics, entertainment, and every other aspect of Nigerian economy. We have about 6 newspapers this morning to review, and we want to start with the leadership newspaper of Friday, which has this major headline: polls postponement, governors re-strategize, who voters with jobs, promotions. You find that on the front page of the leadership newspaper with these riders. Top race expected in Lagos, Delta, Kano, Kaduna, Gombe, and Nasarawa, and as well as Katsina. We respect INEC's decision to postpone polls as coming from All Progressives Congress. We know that the INEC announced recently that the governorship and houses of assembly elections that should have come up tomorrow will not hold again, and it has been postponed till next weekend. So there are reactions on almost all newspaper today in Nigeria. And also we are still looking at the pages of the newspaper as well as that of the leadership newspaper for Friday, which has this headline: Bajabi Amila tops list of contenders for Tinubu's chief of staff, as the president-elect is trying to constitute his cabinet. There are a lot of underground moves by people to belong to one position or the other in the cabinet that will be formed by the president-elect after inauguration. Also, on the front page of the leadership newspaper, we had this terrible accident that happened yesterday, and on that front page it says 6 die in Lagos train accident. Sanwo-Olu declares 3 days of mourning. That was the accident that occurred yesterday in Lagos, where a train collided with a bus taking some workers of the Lagos State government to work. Also on the front page of the leadership newspaper, we have this one: women jailed 24 years for $290,000, 48 million naira property fraud. And you find that on the front page of leadership newspaper for Friday. And also the last one on the front page of leadership newspaper, we have this one: crisis in IPOB camp, Kano seeks to replace senior lawyer. You know that the embattled IPOB leader as Nnamdi Kano, a lot of issues concerning his health, and of course he is now planning to replace some of his lawyers. You find that on the front page of leadership newspaper for Friday. Let's now go to the Nation newspaper for today, which has this main headline: Wike, we will chase away Atiku, others rebuild PDP. That's coming from Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike, and it has this rider: G5 governors satisfied with emergence of Southern president. You find that on the front page of the Nation newspaper. And the topmost page of the same newspaper: INEC rejects court ruling on temporary voter cards use. That's coming from INEC and Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. We are going to see and read more about that in today's The Nation. And also on the front page of The Nation newspaper, APC uncovers plot by fake Nadeco chief to discredit poll. That's coming from the front page of The Nation newspaper. Also on the same newspaper, we have this: 25 killed in Badagry, Enugu, Ogbomoso road crashes. And there were a lot of road accidents that happened in Enugu, Badagry, and of course Ogbomoso in Oyo State, where many were confirmed dead. And also APC, Labour Party, NNPP differ on shift of governorship poll. There were a lot of reactions from the major political parties in Nigeria as a result of the postponement of the governorship and houses of assembly elections. And of course, you are going to read more about what all these parties are saying, particularly the All Progressives Congress, Labour Party, New Nigeria People's Party. You are going to find what they say. That's it. And of course, the major picture on the front page of the Nation newspaper, you have the accident that occurred yesterday in Lagos, where 6 have been confirmed dead. And let's also talk about the accident on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Survivors recount moment train slammed into bus. With these riders, 6 died, 29 critically injured, 50 suffer injuries. Tinubu sympathizes. Sanwo-Olu visits injured in hospital. Lagos accident distressing, says Buhari. All these reactions to the accident that happened yesterday in Lagos, where many, about 6 have been confirmed, while many were injured. It was actually a black day in Lagos yesterday with this particular accident that occurred. And of course, we know that the state government has actually taken up the responsibility of footing the bill of those who are still in the hospital as a result of the accident. Let's now go to the Guardian of today, and the Guardian has this main headline: Pope shift may cost Nigeria more than $2.23 billion suffered in 2019. That is coming from the front page of the Guardian newspaper of today. That as a result of the postponement of the election, that could have actually been held tomorrow. As a result of that, that is going to cost Nigeria over $2.23 billion, and that's as a result of the postponement of the poll. Apart from that, we know it's going to affect a lot of activities. There are some other activities, particularly wedding, other ceremony that have been fixed for next weekend, which have to be postponed as a result of the election holding that's the next week Saturday. And this will actually affect a lot of things. During election, no movement of cars and nothing will happen, particularly from 7 a.m. till 4-5 in the evening. So this will affect a lot of personal engagement of people. But as a result of that, they said that it will also affect Nigeria, particularly the economy, where over $2.2 billion will actually be what Nigerians may lose. That will be found on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. And also it has this: despite reported positive trend, palm oil industry still struggling. Palm oil, one of the major goods in Nigeria, one of the major household needs in Nigeria. And of course, the government will have to look into that area to ensure that we export it. We know that then it's one of the major things that Nigeria rely upon, particularly from the southern part of the country, where palm oil production is always very large. And they now said that probably the economy, that particular sector, is struggling in Nigeria. Maybe the government will have to look at that side to ensure that more is done to the farmers who engage in this production. And the last one on the front page of the Guardian newspaper: 1 week after Supreme Court ruling, CBN silence stokes confusion. We know that there was a judgment by the Supreme Court on the new naira, on the old naira, use in Nigeria. But of course, CBN hasn't spoken. So do the federal government, where some are accepting it, some reject it from people. So that means that there are a lot of confusion, as we can have it on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Let's check the Guardian newspaper for more about this particular headline, which has to do with the CBN, the CBN, and of course the Supreme Court judgment on the naira, on the old naira note. Why some are accepting it in other parts of the country, others reject it. Even the filling station motorists, all of them are rejecting this old naira. Let's now go to the Punch newspaper. The Punch newspaper today has this major headline: Lagos train bus crash. NRC, Lasema blame driver as FG orders probe. Yes, FG, the federal government constituted a body yesterday to probe the cause of that accident which happened yesterday in Lagos, and we will now have it that there were blames being shifted from one agency to another, particularly the Nigeria Railway Corporation and of course LASEMA on the real cause of that accident yesterday. But the the investigation committee set up by the government will reveal the remote cause of that accident. You are also going to find a picture of that accident on the front page of the Punch newspaper, and it has this headline: "Bus driver reckless, ignored safety warning by railway staff." That's coming from officials of the NRC. 6 killed, families donate blood as 29 critically injured, battle for survival. And the last rider on that major headline is that Lagos suspend political campaigns. Buhari, Tinubu, Atiku, others mourn. They are mourning those who died as a result of that accident. And also on the front page of the Punch newspaper, INEC fought judgment permitting temporary voter card for polls. INEC has reacted to that because yesterday a court said that the people, the electorate, particularly those with a temporary voter card, can go out and vote. Of course, the rule from INEC, particularly before the last election, was that it's only those who have the permanent voter card that can come to the voting place, to the polling unit to vote. But now the court has ruled in favor of those with temporary card, but INEC still has objection to that, and they are saying that they are fighting the judgment. Let's see what is going to happen before the governorship poll that will be coming up next week. Also on the front page of the Punch newspaper, NCAA probes Lufthansa over alleged passengers maltreatment. That's Lufthansa, I beg your pardon. NCAA probes Lufthansa over alleged passengers maltreatment. That's coming from one of the airlines in Nigeria, where they are looking at the possible way they are treating the passengers who board their plane from Nigeria to other countries. And also visa revocation, court bars CEO from running Sepla. That's coming from the front page of the Punch newspaper. We are going to read more about that on the front page of news. And before we leave that, let's also take this from the same newspaper that roadblock, victims tackle lawless soldiers over extortion harassment. That's coming from the front page of the Punch newspaper. Let's also move to Daily Trust newspaper for Friday, March 10, 2023. It has this major headline: Boko Haram kills 35 fishermen in Borno. It has these riders. Terrorists tie them in net, spray them with bullets. That's coming from Eyewitness Local from that. And we are sad. It's coming from Dikwa Emir. Dikwa Emir said that government in talks with security operative Zulum. Now they're coming from the Borno State governor Zulum as a result of the death of 35 fishermen who were killed by Boko Haram in Borno. Also on the front page of Daily Trust newspaper, it has the headline, which we can find in all the newspapers, talking about yesterday's accident in Lagos. 6 killed, scores injured as train crushes BRT in Lagos. And on top of that newspaper, that's Daily Trust newspaper, Nigeria records 1.2 trillion naira surplus as foreign trade hits 52.38 trillion naira in 2022. We are going to find that on the front page of Daily Trust newspaper. Election postponement, voters, parties express mixed reaction. A lot of reactions as a result of the postponement of the election, as the governorship and House of Assembly election that should have come up tomorrow. We are going to see the reactions of parties, the voters, and several other people who have reacted to that. Then on front page of the Trust of Daily Trust newspaper, Shippers Council FAAN orders call low on ease of doing business compliance. We are going to read about that. That's coming from the business angle this morning. We still have some other headlines on the front page of that same newspaper. INEC kicks as court okays to use temporary voter card for voting. That's the reaction of INEC is there. Then International Women's Day, there is ban to establish all women wing. Also on the front page of the same newspaper, Kogi boy trying to arrest thieves on yam farm hacked to death. That's coming from the front page of the newspaper, and that's the Daily Trust newspaper. A lot happening in Nigeria, and of course we know that this is a political time where everywhere is very sensitive, but we pray God to continue to guide us. Let's now go to talk about the headlines on the front page of Vanguard newspaper. It has this major headline: APC, Labour Party, IPAC, others disagree on the shift in Guba and State Assembly polls. We have actually read it from almost all newspapers as a result of the postponement, and let's see what APC, Labour Party, and other parties, what they are saying about the postponement of the Guba and the State Assembly election, with many riders under that headline, which says INEC has eroded our confidence. That's coming from Labour Party. That's the reaction of Labour Party from that. Then we also have this that excuses no longer acceptable. That's coming from IPAC. IPAC cautions INEC as a result of that. Postponement inevitable, coming from Farumbi, ex-envoy. Oti Gbadebo, others also speak on the postponement of the election. Let's read more about that on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. We also have other headlines. Poll, June 12, 1993 saga won't repeat itself. That's coming from presidency. We know what happened in June 12, 1993, but the presidency is actually giving assurance that the election that has not been held will actually hold in Nigeria. That what happened in June 12, 1993 will not repeat itself again in Nigeria. That's coming from the presidency. Also on the front page of the same newspaper, governorship poll, court orders INEC to allow use of temporary voters card. That's what we have actually discussed before, and we are going to find out on the front page of Vanguard newspaper. We can read more about that on the front page of Vanguard. Also on that Vanguard, we have this headline: Gubapo, Kwara APC, PDP trade works over cash inducement of voters. This one is also on the same newspaper. Armed headers lay siege to 6 Benue local government areas. Argon raises alarm of another terrorist that may invade some local governments in Benue State. The Argon, that's all local government, Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, Benue State chapter, they are now raising their voice so that security agency will do something before the attack will come up. Yes, and the next newspaper is the Daily Sun. Daily Sun newspaper says Black Day in Borno, Lagos, Oyo, Enugu. Over 30 die in train auto accidents. Then terrorists kill 26 in Borno. 1,332 terrorist families surrender. This can be found on the front page of Daily Sun newspaper. Also on the same front page of the newspaper, anxiety as court okays temporary voters card use for Guba election. INEC has actually reacted to that, and according to them yesterday, that they are still waiting to receive the copy of the judgment of the court yesterday. Then we have this on the front page of the same newspaper. Appeal court reserves judgment in PDP suit against Tinubu Setima. We also find this there that motorists sleep at filling stations as petrol scarcity worsens in Abuja. Black marketers eat 400. Black markets eat 460 naira per liter. That's coming from the front page of this newspaper. That's the reason in Abuja that petrol in Abuja is getting scarce again, as some marketers are selling for the rate of, are selling it for the rate of 450 to 460 naira that's per liter in Abuja. Then group pushes for emergence of Kano as Senate President as lobbying continue, in order to make Tinubu's cabinet. You can read more about that on the front page of the Daily Sun newspaper. And let's now go to the last newspaper to talk about. Okay, we have two more newspapers. We have the Blueprint and of course Tribune. On the front page of Blueprint, controversies over February 25 polls. Buhari opens up, says there won't be another June 12 as a result of the postponement of the election. But Buhari has assured that the election will come up next week. There are issues as a result of INEC reconfiguration of BVAS, and Buhari is giving assurance that what happened in June 12 will not happen again. Also on the front page of the same newspaper, 10th National Assembly group favors North Central for President of the Senate as lobbying continues. The same newspaper has this headline: women play crucial roles in Dangote Group success story. That's coming from Dangote's daughter as a result of the celebration of International Women's Day, which was celebrated across the world about 2 days ago. Then March 18, we haven't seen court judgments allowing use of temporary voter cards. That's coming from INEC. INEC said that they are still waiting for the court judgment, saying that they can use the voters can use temporary voter card. And the last newspaper this morning is Tribune, Nigerian Tribune, where this major headline says 6 died, 70 injured in train, Lagos government staff bus collision. We are going to find more about that. You can read more about that on the front page of the Tribune. You can see that this accident, the report of the accident is contained in almost all the newspapers this morning. Where 6 have been confirmed and many injured. Some said 70, some said 60, some even said 80 people were injured, and while some were in critical conditions. And we are also going to find the scene of the accident on the front page of the Tribune newspaper. And let's also take this as our last headline this morning. Court orders INEC to allow 2 voters to use temporary voter card in March 18 governorship election. Then 1 killed, 15 injured as APC PDP supporters clash in Bauchi as politics. And from the sports angle, Rivers United yesterday beat Motema Pepe 3-1 to top the Group B of the CAF Confederation Cup. That's interesting for the Nigerian club side, Rivers United, and we say congratulations to them for them to be on top of that group. And today, don't forget that the losers final, talking about the 3rd place final of the ongoing CAF Under-20 Cup of Nations, will come up when Nigeria will be hosting Tunisia. That's the 3rd place. The final will be holding tomorrow in Egypt between Senegal, who actually came out from Nigeria's group, and they will play against Gambia, who defeated Nigeria in the 2nd semi-final, played about 3 days ago. And we want to draw the curtain of today's newspaper review from that particular story, as we expect you to continue to stay tuned to OSBC for more programs that we have for you today. You are going to enjoy every bit of other program. I want to thank the executive producer of the program and of course the producer of this program. Join us on Monday with another headline and of course with another guest, because our guest today cannot show up due to one unforeseen circumstances. We apologize for that, but on Monday we want to assure you that the guest and the presenter will be here to take you around every happening in Nigeria on Monday. My name is Tajudeen Amodu. Until next time that we'll be meeting, God bless you.